Hi and welcome to an overview lesson for auxiliary percussion. So what is auxiliary percussion? Let's have a look up there on the wall. All these slightly smaller things, which are sometimes called smalls, are auxiliary percussion. And it really can be anything, any instrument from any country. Okay, so what does auxiliary mean, the word? It means additional or extra. Right? So if we're thinking about it through perhaps the lens of an orchestral percussionist, it's all the things that are not the main instrument. So it's not snare drum, not bass drum, timpani, xylophone, things like that. It's all the other stuff. So one of the really cool things about auxiliary percussion is that it asks of you to learn some completely different techniques than you're probably used to, right? So, you know, if we come from drums or percussion, like a regular percussion background, we're used to doing things with sticks and mallets and playing in a rudimental fashion. But when you're playing auxiliary percussion, you're going to be shaking things, you're going to be shaking and hitting. You might be playing the Pandero where you're sort of twisting and slapping and, doing like this inner kind of like slap bass kind of thing with your thumb. You might be playing Kishi where you're shaking but also twisting at the same time. Same for Kassa, you can be twisting as well. And so, there's lots and lots of different techniques, right? You could be stirring a Tibetan singing bowl. You could be tilting a rain stick or an ocean drum. You could be squeezing an African talking drum whilst hitting at the same time, right? So we're going to go through all those things in the individual lessons, but what I just wanted to do in this lesson is give you a bit of an overview of some of the different techniques that we use when we play aux percussion. So I'm going to start with just your basic shaker, right? I'll play you a simple groove. Right? So you can see even with just a shaker, there's a fair amount of technique involved, and all the techniques are different for all the different instruments. So there's a lot to learn, right? So it's not just a matter of picking it up and just randomly doing whatever. There's specific techniques that go with all these things, and we're going to check them out. So that's an example of something that you shake. Not surprisingly, it's called a shaker. Here is a kind of rock, pop, modern style tambourine. You'll see drummers and percussionists using this. You'll also see singers, backing singers using this. And this is an example of something that you shake and hit, right? You can see I'm hitting into my palm. You can do it forwards like that, or you can do it backwards as well. And you can do one after the other if you want. Right, and again, you can get little sort of 30-second note rolls and cool little things in there as well. This next one is the Pandero. All right, this is from Brazil. Some people call this the Brazilian tambourine, but it's just the Pandero. And this is different again. So instead of jingles, they're called platinellas. It's got obviously a head on it, which this one didn't have, and so on. And we can get some muted sounds, also some open sounds if I take my index finger off the drum. Right, and we do this sort of rocking back motion, which is partly the hand, but also twisting, right? So we're twisting and we're slapping and we're using the finger. There's lots of back and forth. We're doing a lot of different things, okay? I'll play you a simple rhythm here just to get started. Okay? You can also slap with your palm on the Pandero. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the free lesson. If you'd like to join an amazing online drumming school where you'll get highly personalized feedback on your drumming, scroll down and click the link below for a free 7-day trial of I Can Play Drums Pro. You'll get everything a paying customer gets, including over 700 4K video lessons, 2,000 backing tracks, student reviews, feedback and lesson plans, plus the support of an amazing community of like-minded drummers from around the world. Click the link below, sign up, and we look forward to helping you reach your goals soon. Alrighty, let's have a look next at the Kassa. The Kassa, Brazilian instrument. This is a really cool instrument. You can do lots of different things with it. The first thing you'll do is you'll sort of learn the thing of like... You can even get a mount, okay, which holds the Kassa, and you can just turn it if you don't have both hands available, if one hand's doing something else, all right? But you can do other things. You can shake it. You can also twist, okay, you can get short ones, you can get long ones, okay, you can add that into a groove. Next we have the Kishi, okay, they are African basket shakers and they have this kind of hard gourd down the bottom. And this is another instrument that you can play a bunch of different ways. The typical thing that you'd see would maybe be something like this. where every note is coming down onto the gourd and getting that kind of accent sound. But you can also use it like a shaker. And then you can twist, and you can twist backwards, and you can get certain accents in amongst your grooves, like... Right? Things like that. That's Kishi, yeah? Then, of course, we have maracas. Maracas are really cool. You'll see this in Cuban music a lot, salsa music. The basic thing with maracas, of course, is just playing basic eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And like shakers, they have this sort of sensation of latency because you're not getting the sound immediately when you get there. It's flinging whatever is inside it, but granules or whatever it is, and then you get the sound kind of a split second later. So eventually it all becomes second nature and you don't have to worry about it. But the very first time you play a shaker or a maraca, you kind of feel like you're playing behind the beat a little bit, but you can add in extra things with maracas like the triplet roll. 16th triplets are used a lot. So like... All right, so that's maracas, yeah? And last but not least, I couldn't leave out the ocean drum. So the ocean drum, if I turn it around, has hundreds of tiny, tiny little ball bearings inside the drum, a really thin resonant head at the bottom, and what you do is you just tilt the drum. And again, sounds really simple, right? You just tilt the drum. Can't be that hard. But it's actually really difficult, especially the first few times, to really control the sound. It's a very subtle thing, right? So... Okay, so you can see when I was trying to get just that smoother sound, tiny amount, and you're sort of getting them moving around kind of clockwise, like this in a constant direction. Okay, so that's a bit of an overview there on auxiliary percussion. The reason why I wanted to demonstrate a bunch of different techniques just right up front is I think with aux percussion sometimes the technique gets overlooked. I think what happens, certainly in what I've seen in schools and so forth, is that, sometimes kind of old maracas and claves and things like that, they're sort of in, the junior school with the music tub, and you pull it out and the kids learn how to, play different rhythms and so on, which is fantastic, by the way. They can be a really good learning tool. But obviously... no one's using proper technique, including the teacher most times. So it's important to know that if you want to play these instruments properly, that you are going to have to spend time, you're going to have to buy the instruments first of all, and you are going to have to spend time sitting there trying to get the right sounds and all of that. And it does take time, okay? I certainly didn't learn how to play any of these overnight. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. You can see there's so many extra things too, like guiro, scraping. That's a completely different technique again. So let's now get into some of these individual lessons. Be sure to click the link below for instant access to your free 7-day trial of I Can Play Drums Pro.